presented by SiriusXM. Ethan Greenberg and Erica Allen live here in Florham Park as we inch closer to Week 13's New York Jets and Tennessee Titans matchup. Still uncertainty who will start for the New York Jets under center. Sam Darnold and Josh McCown both limited in Wednesday's practice and both limited again in yesterday's practice.
Well, first things first, though, I'm feeling warm inside the auditorium here at One Jets Drive. I'm very comfortable, relaxed.
Good. We do it for you.
We're going to have a great show. And I do want to tell the viewers that this is the very room where Todd Bowles meets the entire team every morning to get the Jets' day started. So it's pretty cool being in here, Greens.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that because I don't know if fans did know that.
Well, so you mentioned McCown and Darnold both being limited. Obviously, Sam Darnold has not played since he strained his foot on November 4th against the Miami Dolphins. Josh McCown's has had the last two starts, most recently against the New England Patriots. But it's not only those two guys we're watching this week because Todd Bowles said all three quarterbacks are getting reps, so that means Davis Webb was in the mix as well. The Friday injury report comes out later this afternoon after practice. That's going to be the key. We'll find out a lot more later. I'm curious. Greens, what do you think? You think Todd Bowles names a starter, or is he going to take this to Sunday?
I think he's taking it to Sunday. I think history repeats itself, and Todd Bowles plays things close to the vest. I think that we won't know until game time, and I think it'll be between McCown and Darnold, but we just don't know.
That's the smart money.
Yeah.
That is the smart money. And the other thing is to consider here is will all three quarterbacks be active for the first time in 2018?
That's a great question. I don't think so. I think that Sam practicing on a limited basis is a good sign for him. He said the foot felt really good. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's assume here it's either McCown or Darnold on Sunday to start against the Titans. If it's McCown, what encourages you about what he did against the Patriots that you think he can lead the offense? And if it's Darnold, what are you looking to see from him after taking a back seat for a couple of weeks?
Well, since we're watching Darnold, let's take him right now.
Let's do it.
And talk about the rookie. He hasn't played a game since Miami. He was in boot on that right foot for a week. Then the boot came off. Then he had the good fortune of having to bye in Week 11, so he was able to stay off it and rehab. And then last week he suited up all during practice, but didn't take any team reps. What we saw yesterday, well, we didn't get a chance to see it, but during practice he took team reps. I think it's probably a good mental break for him because you know this, Greens. The college season is only about 11 weeks long, and at this point, typically, what would happen if you're at USC is you would have this long break before your bowl game. Well, he's had a long break to take a look, not only to get a mental break from things, but watch the veteran, Josh McCown, orchestrate the offense for a couple games. And what I saw of McCown against the Patriots, he hit 8 different receivers, and the Jets moved the football. The points weren't there, but they started to move the football.
Josh McCown threw for 276 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception against the New England Patriots. Head coach Todd Bowles addressed his quarterbacks earlier this week in what may or may not happen for Sunday.
We'll see who's the healthiest, and all of them are taking reps right now, and we'll make that decision as the week goes.
In terms of grasping the game plan, what has he missed out on by not getting full reps, and how much might that affect him come Sunday?
Well, whoever doesn't get full reps misses out on some things, but obviously we study all week, and we study the same way with Josh, the same way with Davis, so we'll see, and we'll make that decision.
You know, he's prepared. He's been preparing the last 3 weeks, and we're excited to get him back on the practice field, and he looks focused and ready to play.
Is there anything positive he can take from his time away from being on the field?
I think, number one, watching Josh play. You know, Josh is a true vet. How Josh studies, how he prepares for the game, and some of the things that Josh has been doing in the game, and as far as making plays off schedule, finding the backs on the burst, and going through the progression. So I definitely think you know, Sam's been into it when he was on the time off, and really wasn't time off for him. He's a student of the game, so he's watching Josh and watching Josh prepare.
Like EA said earlier, great for Sam Darnold to learn from Josh McCown. That's what Jeremy Bates said. That's what Sam Darnold said earlier this week. He said the best part about taking a back seat, not that he wants to, that it was great for him to learn and see how Josh McCown operates, how he studies film during a game week. So what do you think is going to happen? You asked me, what do you think is going to happen Sunday?
I have no clue. The organization could err on the side of caution here and start Josh McCown again and just give Sam Darnold a few more days. What I will tell you is I think the starter in Buffalo, regardless of what happens this week, will be Sam Darnold, and I think Darnold will start this team's final 4 regular season games, regardless of what happens Sunday in Nashville.
Okay, well, it wouldn't be a Friday Practice Today show presented by SiriusXM without an In the Game with EA question. And I know EA said this earlier. He tipped his hand. He said, I feel like your questions relate to who the Jets are playing.
That's
so
correct.
he might be thinking this is an Avery Williamson answer question, but we went off the grid again. I know you're a country music fan.
Yes.
Therefore, can you name this week's top 3 country songs
Jesus.
in the Billboard Top 100? We're throwing curveballs here on Practice Today, presented by SiriusXM. This is what happens. EA was getting hot. He tipped his hand. He said, you know what? I think that the questions are related to the opponent. We're throwing curveballs.
Yeah, this was definitely not high heat. I'll have to think about this.
Good thing EA doesn't have to answer till later on in the show. So
Speaking of high heat, I heard Nashville's known for its hot chicken. That's what Bree is telling everybody.
hot chicken is the thing in Nashville.
Okay, all right.
Have you never been to Hattie B's hot chicken?
I have not.
Well, that's a good hot chicken joint right there.
Okay.
All right, let's get back to football here for a minute, because this Titans offensive line is struggling.
No.
Or actually, excuse me, we're going to talk about the Titans offensive line in a minute here. I want to talk about the Jets offensive line, because whether it's Josh McCown, Sam Darnold under center, there's a new look for the Jets offensive line. In Week 12, it was Spencer Long at left guard. It was Jonathan Harrison at center. James Carpenter did not play. He's now done for the year.
Yeah.
Injured reserve with a shoulder injury. If those two guys are there, meaning Long at left guard, Jonathan Harrison at center, what did you like out of what you saw against the Patriots?
Well, I think Harrison brings athleticism to the center position. That's what he's known for. He's a versatile guy who was a starter in Indianapolis and a reserve who played all along that offensive line, too. And what you saw, too, was some consistency with the shotgun snaps. And that's not a shot at Spencer Long, because he's dealing with that finger injury. I know he's been getting better. But in terms of Long, what you saw was his athleticism, position flexibility, because we knew it all along when the Jets signed Long. They said, we like his position flexibility. So when something like this happens, which is very unfortunate because James Carpenter, so durable, so consistent for the Jets, and a team captain goes down, you can move Long over to guard. And you wrote about it this week, about him on the pole and hitting one of the McCourties there.
Yeah, Jason McCourty. Devin and Jason, you could get them mixed up, but Spencer Long pulled around and absolutely obliterated Jason McCourty, propelled Isaiah Crowell for a 12-yard gain. And Jonathan Harrison, who was inside the Jets with yourself and Eric Coleman on Monday, said, yeah, Spencer was waiting for that one. He really laid into him. And when it's an offensive lineman versus a DB, you know the O-line is licking their chops. But let's talk about this Titans defensive front led by Jarrell Casey. He's a Pro Bowler in the past, and the Jets are going to really have to zero in on him.
Yeah, Casey is a guy they aforementioned Jonathan Harrison and Spencer Long are going to have to deal with on the inside, because he can make it a long day for opposing offenses, no doubt about that. Gritty, great motor, strong. And again, this Titans team is going to be hungry coming home after they've lost a pair of games on the road to division rivals. But then on the outside, you look at guys like Brian Arakpo, and up front, what they're going to try to do, no matter who's playing quarterback, a Dean Pease coordinated defense. They're going to load up in that front seven, try to take away the Jets' run, and then get after you with the blitz. They're coming, and that's what they're known for. And Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, he wants to get after the quarterback.
Jarrell Casey has 4.5 sacks so far this season. That's second on the Tennessee Titans. So let's flip the script here. Let's talk about the Titans' offensive line and the Jets' defensive line, because the Titans have allowed a league-high 39 sacks, 35 of which have come with Marcus Mariota in the backfield. Again, he's played most of the games. He's missed some games here and there, But when the Jets' defensive line sees an offensive line like this, that's been healthy for the Titans, so it's not like they've been banged up.
New system, though, Greens. New system. So maybe, they come in there and you have a new coordinator and you're learning a new offense. So maybe that is part of the reason why they're struggling up front so far this year. But those numbers stick out to both of us that they lead the NFL in terms of sacks allowed. And it's ironic, too, because Mariota, you think about him being such an elusive guy can get outside the pocket and keep plays alive. But this Titans team is going to come right after the Jets in terms of running the football. That's who Mike Vrabel wants to be. I'm
glad you mentioned that, because this leads to the next point that the Tennessee Titans want to run the football, but they're not doing a very good job of implementing the run. We talked about the offensive line struggles. Well, the Titans are 8th in the NFL in attempts per game with 28. And then there you have it right there, tied for 27th in average yards per rush with 3.9. Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis, a 1-2 punch that I'm sure the Titans were very excited about when Dion Lewis came over from the Patriots in the offseason. And both of their averages, 3.7 and 3.3, not very good for the Titans.
I actually like both of these backs. I think Henry's a north-south guy, and Dion Lewis, we've seen him for years in New England, such a valuable guy coming out of the backfield, catching the football. But I just don't think they're getting the job done up front. But conversely, we're talking about the Titans and how they're struggling to rush the football. The Jets right now are 27th in the National Football League, stopping the run themselves. In the last 2 games, they've given up more than 200 yards an outing against both the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. The Jets have to stop the run this week because they're going to try to establish it, Tennessee. I know they haven't gotten the output where they want it there in Nashville, but they're not going away from it. And when they look at the Jets' defense, just like the Jets look at the Titans' offense, they say this is an opportunity for us to get healthy.
Well, like you said, absolutely they would think that because the Jets have given up over 200 yards in back-to-back games. And even though you see the averages there, Dion Lewis, side note, he's the second leading receiver in terms of catches for the Titans, so he's more of a dynamic threat than Derrick Henry is. And you mentioned Marcus Mariota. Well, I want to talk about his arm, because Todd Bowles said when you focus on his legs, that's when he beats you with his arm. Yeah. He's 70.3% completion percentage this year. That's a career high, 1,800 yards, 9 touchdowns, 6 picks, like you see on the slate. Did not play in week 2 because of an elbow. And then you look at his rushing stats, and you might say, oh, well, Marcus Mariota is the best rusher on the team with a 5.3 average. Well, most quarterbacks have a higher average because they don't have the same amount of attempts that the running backs do.
Well, his favorite targets are having good years, and that's Corey Davis on the outside. Davis is a guy, a former first-round pick, who's
the pick before Jamal Adams.
Yeah, he's on his way to his first 1,000-yard season if he plays pretty decently down the stretch. And then they have an interesting tight end, a speedster, Jonnu Smith, who has quickly become one of Mariota's favorite targets. But I haven't seen them have the consistency with their vertical passing game. You mentioned Mariota's completing 70% of his passes. I feel like a lot of those passes are dump-offs or secondary options for him so far. So this Tennessee offense, I think it's trying to find its identity right now.
I would absolutely agree with that. And a big loss earlier this season for the Titans, no Delaney Walker, which is why Jonnu Smith is getting the majority of tight end reps. And a couple defenders spoke about Marcus Mariota yesterday in the locker room, and they talked about what kind of challenges he presents with his legs.
Yeah, you definitely got to be, fundamentally sound. He's going to buy your eyes. They're going to do a lot of, motions to get people to, look at different things. But you just got to, continue to do your job at a high level and continue to communicate.
Well, he can obviously throw the ball very well, but then also make you miss in the pocket when you're trying to get sacks on him and make you miss with his legs and hurt you with his legs. So we have to be very fundamentally sound this week to stop him.
All right, that last interview, Brandon Copeland, I spoke to him yesterday one-on-one. If you want to watch the full interview, check out NewYorkJets.com. What stuck out to Copeland was Mariota's of just sheer athleticism, because the Jets have faced a lot of mobile quarterbacks this season. You think of Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Blake Bortles ran for a 23-yarder. Ryan Tannehill got the best of the Jets in week 2 for about 44 yards. Well, Mariota's speed is really what separates him compared to everyone else.
You remember him in Oregon playing for
How do you
Chip Kelly?
forget? How do you forget?
Yeah, he's a freakish athlete, no doubt about that. But I still think he's finding his way in terms of beating you from the pocket. And like you mentioned, those are good points about who the Jets have already faced this year. They can't get beat by these RPOs or these long runs by Mariota. They got to make sure they maintain their rush integrity and set the edge, keep him in the pocket.
Jamal Adams mentioned Mariota trying to bait people with his eyes. Well, the Jets are going to have to be communicating at a high level, and they're going to have to be disciplined. But let's move to In the Game with EA, the results here on Practice Today presented by SiriusXM. So, again, it's a country-related question because we are going to Nashville this weekend. So can you name this week's top 3 country songs in the Billboard Top 100?
No, I can't. This is absurd.
Boy.
This is absurd because I go home and
You're
say...
boycotting.
Hold on. I go home and say, Alexa, turn on Brett Eldridge. So give me a Brett Eldridge, and then I'm good, all right?
Really?
Yeah, you don't like Brett?
I'm just surprised you have an Alexa.
Take it easy there. Go ahead. Give your list. I didn't even look at my phone in the break.
You don't listen to the radio at all?
No, I got Sirius. Woo!
Okay, well, I'm sure you know some of these songs because the answer is Speechless by Dan and Shay.
Oh, Dan and Shay. That's
She
nice.
Got the Best of Me by Luke Combs. And Tequila by Dan and Shay. Dan and Shay is killing it this week.
Apparently so.
You don't know this song?
Meant to Be?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
Is in the top 4?
Yeah.
Meant to Be's been out since you were in 6th grade.
I'm not sure about that.
Lose It by Kane Brown. Whatever. That's fine.
Do you like these songs, though? What's your favorite country song? How about that?
I don't know. I'd take something from my Brett Eldridge collection. What would you take? What's with all these questions with me? And you gave me the question. I told you I didn't have the answer.
Okay.
You got a favorite country song all time?
No, not all time. But the one that got me into country music was Running Out of Moonlight by Randy Houser.
Okay. That's a good song.
Okay. So
Solid.
Are we good to go back to football?
I'd love to go back to football.
All right. So Jets Titans this Sunday.
Have you ever been to the Grand Ole Opry?
No, I have not.
Okay, let's get back to football.
Jets Titans this Sunday, 4:05 in Nashville. And if the Jets have to rediscover this run defense because 2 weeks or 2 games, should I say, over 200 yards allowed. Yeah,
you're right about that, Greens. Right now, the New York Jets 27th in the National Football League against the run. The Tennessee Titans are going to come to Nashville, back to Nashville on Sunday and try to establish a smash mouth identity with both Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis. The Jets' number one priority this week is to take away the run. Then they'll have an opportunity to get after Marcus Mariota because the Titans have given up more sacks than anybody in the National Football League.
I want to see what the young Jets can do on the road this week because Chris Herndon, a career-high 7 receptions against the Patriots. He's really flashing lately.
Yeah, Herndon's a guy offensively that we're going to continue to keep our eyes on. How about Eli McGuire? He's had the most snap counts of any Jets running back since he's returned to the lineup. He's in his second year. I think he's got a very bright future here. Trenton Cannon is another guy we should keep our eyes on because he brings this speed element to this offense. And then defensively, how can we not talk about Jamal Adams in his second season? We know he's going to Orlando in the Pro Bowl, but first things first, he's going to finish out this season on a strong note. He was great against the Patriots with 3 pass defenses. And Avery Williamson is going to play with his hair on fire. Tennessee native, also played his first 4 seasons with the Titans Greens. He's 117 tackles for the Jets. He's going to be a big part of the future here.
You know he's excited to return back home to Nashville. He lives just a couple hours outside of Nashville in
2
Tennessee.
hours, West Tennessee.
All right, there you have it again. Jets, Titans Sunday, 4:05 kickoff, which means EA and myself, pregame Central presented by Pepsi at 2 o'clock. Eastern, yeah.
Okay,
2 o'clock Eastern.
You got to be there.
2 o'clock Eastern, yeah. We haven't done the show in Central Time, so I figured I'd plug it in Eastern time.
Yeah, I like that.
But regardless, if you're in Central Time, 1 o'clock Central Time. If you're in Eastern Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Time kickoff, 4:05. But that's all we have here on Practice Today, presented by SiriusXM. We'll see you Sunday afternoon.